All right, well, let's officially go ahead and get started this morning. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And I'm really excited that you're here because this webinar is going to teach you my bread and butter trade that helps generate income. And I place this live multiple times a week personally and with all of my clients. So today I'm going to show you how you can turn just 15 minutes a day into consistent monthly paychecks, no matter what the market does. Now, stay with me because what you're going to learn today could really transform your financial future, just like it has for me and hundreds of my students. And I do want to ask a quick question before we start, because I kind of want to get a feel for where everybody is. Now, the session this morning is live. Today is Today is July 29th, and it's just up past 11 a.m. Eastern time. Very early in the morning for me to do a class like this, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to hit it hard. So interact with me. Do me a favor and do that with me. So in the chat box, I want you to give me a number. Type a 1, 2, 3, or 4. So the numbers correspond to how would you describe your current income system in the stock market. Type in a 1 if it's non-existent. So in other words, you don't have a way to generate consistent income. Type of 2 if it's just trickling in, but it's nowhere near enough. Type of 3 if it's there, but it's inconsistent and you need more. And then type of 4 if it's a steady flow, possible multiple income streams that you can turn on or off when you need, and that provide plenty of extra money. So do me a favor, 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat window and kind of let me know where you are. Kind of curious to see. All right, I see the first person was Joseph. You're 3, 2, Raymond, Abe 1, Ronald 3, Mark 2, Eric 2, Terry 3. Daryl, you're a 4, awesome. Brian 3, Mark 3, Devin 3. Cool. I didn't read them all, but I just wanted to get a kind of a snippet of where you guys are. So I see a lot of 2s and I see a lot of 3s. You're in the right spot today. There's no doubt about it. Now, even if you're that rare 4, listen, I bet you're going to learn how to increase your existing income flow and how to do it with less risk and less time spent. Now, in the webinar, you're going to begin to see how you can make a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more, keeping in mind that you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than simply going out there and buying and selling stocks, and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, over the past 9 years, I've been doing this with my coaching students here at VectorVest, and the system has averaged 3% per month. But most importantly, it's really transformed the lives of retirees, parents, professionals, really anybody that's looking to secure their financial future without risking it all. So do me a favor, type a yes in the chat if you'd like to learn how you can trade for 15 minutes a day and make that consistent income even if you're wrong about market direction. All right, yes, exactly. Now, if I were in your shoes, I'd be skeptical and I'd want proof. So while you're typing, type a P in the chat if you want proof. Yeah, I get it, so would I. I see those annoying overhyped advertisements of the guy standing next to their fancy cars, flying in their private jets. I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. I've taught this technique to clients for about 9 years, and many of them were kind enough to share their story with you. Now, we have tons and tons of folks that have done this, okay? You might even find that some of these stories may be very similar to you. Now, in today's class, we're going to focus on a few of these folks. We're going to talk about people like Mike, right, who made $12,000, felt like he had the keys to the cash register, okay? Bruce, who went from 100 to 452,000 in 3.5 years and no longer has sleepless nights. John, who grew his IRA by 112%, all while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. I even got this email from one of my recent students, said, Ron, wanted to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using this method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement. Now listen, I love hearing that. And there's also a lesson for you. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this. You can start small while you learn and practice because it ultimately builds up very, very quickly. If you just started with $5,000 and you average that 3% per month, compounded over 15 years puts you at $1 million. Now, if you started with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after only 10 years. Okay? You're looking at serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you're going to get there much, much faster. Now, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the option income coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 28 years. And when I first started out, like most traders, I had mostly losses. In fact, I blew out and lost entire trading accounts a few times. Now, the reason I was losing was because I was trading in a way that, like most investors do, right? When you buy something, it had to go up. If you sell something, it has to go down. If you weren't right, you're not going to make money. And then secondly, once you learn how to be right, you got to manage your winners and losers, right? You can't have a winning trade where you make 100, but losers where you lose 1,000. It's a juggling act to be a good investor. Well, a big aha moment came to me. Now, to be clear, I did learn how to trade properly and became successful at it. Into my successful portion of my career, one of the clients that had worked with our company came to visit our office, and he was actually a hedge fund trader. And what his specialty was options. Now, at the time, I was not really an options guy. I didn't really like options. I thought they were too complex and there was too many moving parts to them. But he really dispelled a lot of that fear in me. He showed me the way that the institutions use options to make it so their trades can pay and make money even if they're wrong. Think about that. Setting up a trade where you can make money even if your analysis is incorrect. Basically, what he showed me is how to stack probability by using options trades. Then he showed me how the options trades that he does can limit your risk and your exposure. Think of the pressure that takes off of you. You don't have to be right to make money. Your risk is locked in. It's proportional. That's the beauty of this. Now, he kind of did a strategic shift in the way I thought about it and thought about investing. I'm going to do the same thing for you. So here's how we laid out to today's webinar. The first part of today's webinar is going to show you the strategic shift that's necessary in order for you to generate consistent income. After that, I'm going to show you the 3 big mistakes you need to avoid. In fact, by knowing what these mistakes are and that thousands of other investors are going to make them, you're going to be in prime position to profit. We're going to talk about things like strike prices and expiration dates and how to pick them correctly. Then in the third section, I'll show you how to set up your income trades with low risk. Do me a favor, type a yes in the chat if you've been told that selling options was risky. All right, a couple of you right off the bat, yes. I'm going to show you how to do this the right way so that there's an even lower risk than buying a stock. Then we're going to lay out the 6-step option paycheck system we follow here at VectorVest that helps generate income. And this is different than what others will teach you out there. So I'm going to walk you through it today. Then throughout the session, I'm going to mix in some case studies of our clients who are doing this. And one of them might just be like you. Now, I feel there's a ton of great information in today's webinar, so it would definitely benefit you to stay to the end. And if you do stay with me to the end, I put together a checklist to help you plan out your trades. And it's a PDF. We'll drop right in the handout section here of GoToWebinar. Print it out today. But remind me when we get to the Q&A because a lot of times after about an hour, I forgot. Okay? Also, I love to work and interact with the webinar because we get a lot more out of it when we interact together. And so far, you've been great using the chat box. There's going to be several times throughout the webinar I'm going to ask you more questions. Let's interact. Now, I've also got several members of the team with me today. So like I said, it's a live webinar. Ask your questions. They'll help you with the answers. They'll give them to me at the end, okay? There's only so much, though, we can cover in about an hour. So throughout the session, I'm going to mention some things that you can do after the webinar is over if you want to continue your education and start implementing this quicker. Now, I talked about a strategic shift. And the first thing you need to know to generate income with options is that strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being the option seller is the way you can make consistent income. This is what allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, why do you want to be the casino or the house and not the gambler? Well, the house always wins. Number 2, they always win because they control and stack probability in their favor. The options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. If you want to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And that first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said that prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Now, he focused on our SPX income system. It's our most basic trading system, 15 minutes a week. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497 in 3.5 years. Think about that, 100 grand, almost $500,000. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so either buy shares of it or maybe you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do, right? When you buy a call, that's kind of the equivalent of buying the stock. If the stock goes up, the price of your call goes up, you make money. It's a good thing. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, maybe it doesn't go up enough, and that call that you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel the problem is, well, maybe they picked the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong strike price, or maybe even the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how we put probability on our side. This is how we can win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade is going to give you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy something, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. Now, instead of hoping the stock just goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability, because probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of just needing the stock to go in your direction, we can pick a price below, in this case, because we think the stock's going to go up, below the stock price that says, hey, as long as it doesn't go down to here, I can still make money. Now think about that. Stock's at 204. You pick a price of 195. As long as we stay above that, you can make money. The end result of that is this. If the stock goes up like you think it's going to, you're profitable. But if the stock goes sideways, you're still profitable. The stock can even come down a little bit and you're still profitable. Right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you could even increase that probability more. We can choose lower prices in some case, which gives you an even bigger area where you can be right. In fact, we start a lot of our trades off with a 70% chance of success. And this is only something you can do as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And this is the definition of an income trade. Simply put, an income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, you remember Bruce? He trades with us every week still. In fact, yesterday he was in my coaching class. He actually gave me a trade that he was looking at that I took. Another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free right there. Now, Mike, he was someone who dabbled with options but said he lost on each of his trades. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that is to lose on each of your trades? Eventually, he just gave up. He tried to learn more about options, but never felt comfortable. He knew what he was doing. He said he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he flipped the switch. He said he became like an income machine immediately. After learning the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. Now remember, the key lesson here is going from buyer or gambler to seller or being the house. That turned his situation around. And he was so proud of his results, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. Here's Mike's results. First, go over here and look at the profit column. The numbers aren't really important right now. I just want you to see how more profitable on your trades are than you will be on the losses. That's typical. Now, look at the work days to close. I want you to understand that this is not day trading. All right, you're going to put trades on. They take on average about 7 to 10 days to work. So every 7 to 10 days, he's pulling in about $1,000. Okay, that's typical. Now, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you can begin trading the SPX. This is the index that tracks the S&P. Now, over the last 10 years, it's averaged about 2.3% per month. Okay, so it's got long-term historical winnings. This year, I'm actually up about 20% already. You're not just learning how to trade options here. You're learning and you're creating a future where your income grows without adding hours to your day. Imagine turning that financial stress into confidence, knowing that your money is working harder than ever, even if you're not. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. Home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and to be able to do the things that you want to do. Now, one of my jobs as your coach today is to help you make a few great decisions. The first shift is to generating income is to move from being that hopeful gambler to where you implement a system of high probability selling. Now listen, I'm not saying you need to be a full-time options trader here. You're still going to do your stock trading, your capital appreciation, but we're going to mix in some trades where you sell options for income. So do me a favor, in the chat, type in gambler if you want to continue taking low probability trades, or type in the word seller if you think it makes more sense to trade with high probability. Now listen, every once in a while, maybe you do a trade where you gamble with a little bit of your money. Heck, I was telling Brian before the class started, I did that last night. I gambled on CLS and Boeing for earnings, and I won, yay. But I do that with a very small portion of my account, right? It's not something I rely on income for. It's a little gamble. It's a little fun. You risk $100, right? So again, in the chat, type gambler or seller. Let me know what your choice is. All right, I see lots of sellers. Joseph, Jan, Mark E, Mark L, Royd L. Okay, cool. Now, my promise to you is that you can generate consistent monthly paychecks no matter what the market does. Now, let's move on to section 2. You've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. But to do that, you need to learn how to sell options correctly, because there's a right way to do this and there's a wrong way to do this. So I want to start talking about how to do it the right way. To stack the odds even further in your favor, you need to understand and capitalize on the 3 most common buyer's mistakes that people make. Basically, you're going to avoid making them and simply do the opposite. So let me explain. Mistake number 1 is that option buyers choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strike prices that are so far away the stock has no chance of hitting it. So here's the stock. Let's say you're bullish on the stock. This stock's $217 a share. What happens with a lot of option buyers is they go way above the stock price and they buy a call. Why do they buy a call $15 or $16 above the stock price? They do it because it's a cheap option. Most buyers treat this like a lottery ticket. Yeah, but Ron, I'm only spending $100, and if the stock goes up $25 a share, I can make $1,000. That's a low probability scenario. Okay? That's not the way you make money, right? You're betting that the stock is going to go up $20 a share in order for you to make money. That's the wrong answer here. Okay? Now listen, there's always going to be buyers out there who buy these options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. They are doing a low probability situation here. But you, by being the seller of that option, have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. There's people that buy puts way below where the market is. Maybe they think the stock is going to go down. Maybe they're buying insurance for their stock holdings. Listen, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. There's people out there buying these options. They need someone to sell it to them. Because when you sell them those options, you're putting your odds of success 60 to 90%. Okay? Do the high probability selling. Now, the second mistake that a lot of options buyers make, they go too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store. I did this after bowling on Sunday. I went to the grocery store. My kid wanted some sushi. I bought grocery store sushi. I walked past the steaks. There was a nice New York strip. Not a New York strip fan, to be fair. I like, ribeyes better, but whatever. They had a New York strip, prime cut, great marbling. It was half off. I bought it. Why not? It's half off. Here was the caveat. It expired the next day. I took it home that night, cooked it, got a hell of a deal on a steak, right? That's beautiful. But if I didn't cook it right away, it was going to be worthless. And the same is true for options. Here's what you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the days to expiration. Notice, it took 180 days, that's the upper left-hand corner, to lose all of its value. That's the day of expiration. But it lost half the value in 135 days. Then, in the last 45 days, and you can kind of see that right here, the decay became exponential. So what I'm saying here is, in the last 45 days of an option's life, these things lose value tremendously. This puts you as the option buyer at a great disadvantage. Because if you buy the right option, even if the stock goes in your direction, the time decay is eating the value of that option. But if you're a seller, that's good for you. So what we're going to do is find options to sell in that window instead of buying them. Now, you're going to hear me use the term sweet spot quite a few times today. This is your first sweet spot, if you will. We're going to sell options 21 to 45 days away. Okay? 21 to 45 days away. That's the sweet spot for where we like to sell our options. Now, here's another example of this. This is Home Depot. You go out there, you think the stock's going to go up. You go out about 5 or 6 weeks, you buy a call. But even if you bought that call, even if the stock goes up, it doesn't matter because that time decay is eating exponentially the value of your option. You're making less and less every single day you own that option. But why let that work against you? Let this work in your favor by being the seller. Remember, there's always going to be people buying options out there that have those expiration dates too close. Take advantage of it. You might as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino because you're always going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake is that buyers simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So this is important. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. A lot of people don't realize this one. Take a look at the top. 2 stocks. They're basically both the same price, $76, right? They're about 12 cents apart. But even though the stocks have the same price, look at the different option premiums. Over on the left, it's $9.10. So if you bought that call on the left, it would cost you $910. Over on the right, the premium price is $1.80. It would cost you $180. Same stock price, same expiration, same strike, right? But that option on the right is like 3 times cheaper than the one on the left, right? Actually 4 times cheaper. Why are they so different with everything being the same? The option on the left has extremely high implied volatility, okay? Watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced like you see on the left. What we're going to do is we're going to simulate both stocks go up $8 per share, okay? This is the important part. A lot of people look at this and say, well, Ron, who cares? I'm trading with $100,000. If I have to pay $9 for an option, it's not a big deal. Well, you have to put this in a perspective of how it impacts your trade. Look back at over the last couple of years, right? One of the biggest things that were expensive that people couldn't get over was eggs. Eggs were $8 a dozen. Now they're like $2 again, right? Well, in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter from a taste perspective if eggs are $8 a dozen or $2 a dozen? They still taste the same. They still make the same omelet, poached eggs, whatever you do with them, right? All you do is you're paying too much. You're still going to eat them. They still taste the same. You're still going to get satisfaction. You're just going to get annoyed about the price. But in the option world, very, very different here. So again, both stocks go up $8 a share. If you just bought 100 shares of each of these stocks, you made $800 a piece. But what if you bought the call? Over on the left, you actually lost money. Think about that. You got direction correct, but your option lost money. Over on the right, that buyer got direction correctly, and he bought a cheap option. And he made like 400% return on his trade. Why did the buyer on the left lose? Because they ignored volatility. Volatility was simply too high, and that puts probability of success against you. Well, we're all about putting probability of success in our favor. How do we do it? We take the mistake that the option buyer makes and we do the opposite. We're going to find those expensive, overpriced options and sell them. Because when we sell them, we're stacking probability even more on our side. We're making more money. We're reducing our monetary risk. We can add more probability. Be a seller instead of those high, overpriced options. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, he said he came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped him turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategy that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. He said in 4 months, he grew his account by 71%, way above the 3% we talk about. That's even better. I love it. And a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and your results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now let me ask you, have any of you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. Yeah, yes, yes. Everyone's made these mistakes, including myself. It's not your fault. You were just taught a broken system. Now, one of my jobs as your coach today is to help you make those few great decisions, right? So if you're trading options to generate income, you can no longer make those common buyer mistakes. Even if you leave the webinar and you don't become an option seller, promise yourself you will stop making these common buyer's mistakes. Whether you continue on with any of the courses or coaching we offer here at VectorVest, make that promise to yourself. So in the chat, do me a favor, type avoid if you will avoid those buyer's mistakes. Just give me a quick avoid. All right, I love it. Kevin, Jan, Francis. All right, I see Mike, Tony. All right, good deal. There's thousands of people out there who will continue to make these buyer's mistakes. You can't prevent them from doing it. Since they're going to be doing it, you got to learn how to capitalize on it. Because if you want to generate consistent income with options, we simply need to take the other side of those trades. Now, hopefully by this time you know you want to be an option seller and you're going to avoid those mistakes. You just told me you would and capitalize on the common mistakes that buyers make. So let's next look at how to learn to trade with very little risk. Because when a lot of people hear the word options, especially selling options, they immediately think it's risky. It's because some people just go out there and they sell options because they heard it was a high probability trade. Heck, I told you it was. But they don't protect themselves. The options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy. And that's why it's a core strategy we actually teach to our retirees. And why is reducing risk so important? Because if you're not using the options paycheck system, you're not preserving your capital. You can have one bad trade wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. And when you suffer large losses, it's hard. It takes a long time to recover. But when you do it right, with the right system in place, you have built-in protection. You can take care of risk management before you even open the trade. And when you can confidently select the right stocks and set your trades up in a way that reduce risk, it's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles win the games. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is, can I trade this from an IRA? Well, one of our clients, John, is doing it in his IRA. I do it in my IRA as well. He said he had tried and struggled with some trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system, and he turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he had 85% winning trades, 112% return on investment. Okay, 48 grand. And he said he spent no more than about 15 minutes a day on his trading. So, the options paycheck system is going to make sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks rising in price. Kind of like what you see here, right? Lower left, upper right, rising in price. Then, we don't sell options naked. We sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. Now, a traditional option system that has you selling naked options leaves you with all this risk, right? If the stock were to have a massive sell-off for some unknown reason, you could be left having one of those big losses that take out all your gains. Unacceptable. The options paycheck system reduce your risk to this. That's how it shrinks your risk. So let's look at how this works. Now again, this is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable why you'd want to be bullish on something like this. Now traditionally, you'd go out, you'd buy the stock here, right? Maybe you're going to buy a call, and you're going to use the price of the stock as kind of a correlation to what strike price you buy in the option. But again, you're not the buyer anymore, so who cares? You're the seller. Here's what you're going to do. If you think that a stock is going to go up, you go underneath the stock price, and you are going to sell a put. Okay? When you sell the put, you receive a premium. You're getting paid. So in this example, if you sell this 135 put, you're going to get paid $200. If you sold 10 of them, you'd get paid $2,000. Now that's great, right? You have no downside protection, though, if the stock drops. Yes, you could make $2,000, but you could lose $40,000 if the stock has a massive drop. There's no downside protection. So what we need to do is use a built-in protection plan. What we're going to do is go a little bit lower, and we are going to lock in our risk by buying a put in the same transaction. We're going to sell a put, and in the same transaction, we're going to buy a put as insurance. Now that insurance, like any other insurance in the world, it's going to cost you something. In this case, it cost me $100, but that's okay. Remember, when we sold the put, we sold it for $200. When we buy the insurance, it costs me $100. That still leaves me with a net credit of $100 to place this trade. You get paid. Now, if I did this on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. Okay? So again, you're getting paid to place these high probability trades. Now, this is what it's done. We think the stock will go up. If it does, yay, you win. We think if the stock goes sideways, we don't think if it does go sideways, we are still going to make money. It can even go down a little bit and you'll still make money. And if it goes down too much, below 135 in this case, we will exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to actually take a trade that I did earlier this year with my clients, my coaching students, because again, I do all these trades live in front of my students, so I have real examples that I use. And I'm going to show you some numbers so you know how to kind of set the trades up, so pay attention. First thing I'm going to do is lay the foundation. I trade in the direction of the market. Since May, the market has been bullish. I haven't placed a bearish trade, what is it, May, June, July? I haven't placed a bearish trade in like 4 months, okay? Why? The market's bullish. Now, I'm going to give you another tip, a sweet spot, if you will. Earlier, I told you we're going to sell options 21 to 45 days away. The next sweet spot is I am going to sell an option that gives me a 60% or higher probability of winning. So let's show you how this works. This is an actual stock I traded, DRI. It was in an uptrend, so let's zoom in closer, right? Lower left, upper right. No technical analysis needed, good stock. Now, I'm going to go out there and sell an option. It's May 12th. I'm going to sell an option about a month away, probably about 30 days to expiration, the June monthly. DRI is trading for 203. Now, I'm going to go to my option broker. Doesn't matter which broker you use. They all have this data for you. Okay, you just have to know where to find it, know how to use it. That's the key. I'm going to go out there. I think the stock is going to go up, right? So I'm going to sell a put underneath the price of the stock. When I go out to my option chain and my broker, this is what I find out. The stock's at 203.85, 204 essentially. If I go out here and I sell a $200 put, this gives me a 55% probability of making money. What's that probability based on? It's based on the historical movement of the stock. That probability, and again, this is something that every option broker gives you. We have a 55% of DRI staying above $200 a share for the next month. If I go down to B, that's at 195, I have a 64% chance of making money because I have a 64% chance of the stock staying basically in this range right here for the next month. Now, if I go all the way down to C down here, it gives me an 80% probability. How? How 80%? Because now all it's got to do to make money is it has to stay somewhere for the next month between these prices. That's it. 80%. Right? Now, let me ask you a question. Knowing this information, take a guess. Some of you probably already know, but take a guess. Which option would you sell in this case? A, B, or C? All right, I see B. I see B. Jan, Francis, Brian, a lot of you guys are saying B. All right, now they're kind of pouring in a little bit more. I see some Bs, I see some Cs. Nobody is choosing A. That means you were paying attention on that last slide, right? When I said minimum of 60%. Most of you are choosing B. Some of you are choosing C. Now, for those of you that chose B, you're absolutely correct. We chose B. Here's the why. I want to explain why we chose B, because some of you that chose C, I want to explain why it's not a good choice. So when I take a trade, and this is some of the things that we teach you about risk control. Partially how you can control risk is by controlling your profits. When I do these trades, I set the trades up so I can make about $750 on a winner. That's my goal. I want to set the trade up to make $750. How do I do that? I control the number of contracts I trade. Maybe in this trade, I would have to trade 12 contracts. Maybe down here, I'd have to trade 5 or 10, or it's a different strike price. It doesn't matter. But either way, I'm going to set the trade up to make about $750. Okay? Now, up here, I'm going to make the trade and make sure that my risk is very, very similar to my reward. Let's say on this trade, your goal is to make $750, but you're risking $800. Is that really a bad thing? Not if you're 64% right. If you're 64% right, you're going to make money on 6.5 out of 10 trades, right? And those winners on 6.5 are going to pay for the extra losers that you have. You can afford to do this. Now, what if I told you that this 80% trade looked more like this? For every winning trade, you'll make $750, but for every loser, you're going to lose $4,000. Now think about that, right? Think about that. $750 on every winner. That means on 8 winning trades, because it's 80% right, you're going to make about $6,000. But on those 2 losers, you're going to lose $8,000. What good is being 80% right if one loser is going to come in there and wipe out most of your gains? Okay? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Whereas up on top, this works. This is a profitable scenario for you when you're 60% or higher correct. Now, this trade, I did like this. I sold a 195 put. In the same transaction, I bought as my insurance a 190 put. This is called a bull put spread. Bullish because I'm bullish on the trade. Puts because I'm using puts. Spread because I have a $5 difference or a $5 spread. I'm using 2 options at different strike prices in this case, a 195 and a 190. That 190 gives me a built-in protection plan. I can only lose $98 per contract in this case. Okay? Now, let's see how the trade worked out. In about 2 weeks, I was able to take in my profits. Now remember, I shoot for $750. It's not always going to be perfectly $750. This might have been a little bit less, but this is also after commissions. Okay? So $712. What did the stock do? Well, the stock went up for a little while, came back down, but again, it didn't matter because I had a big, huge cushion down here to be wrong. Then the stock came right back up. And guess what? In 2 weeks, I was able to exit the trade. Remember, these trades take about 7 to 10 days. In 2 weeks, I was able to exit the trade and lock in my profit. So that's a $700 paycheck in those 2 weeks. Okay? Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, his results were very inconsistent and he felt that it was unsatisfactory. He said he kept thinking that there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? That there was something out there better that would provide more of a regular income and had a higher probability of success? He said that after learning the system of being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row and returned about 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that's got to feel to be going from being inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? So that third shift is to make sure when you sell your options, you set your trades up with low risk. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk, and it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino, because keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you make consistent income every month. It allows you to do it more safely and with that higher probability of success than just going out there and buying and selling stocks. Now, today's been all about building a system to generate consistent income with options, and it's regardless of what the market's doing. So let's put this together, and I want to look at the 6-step paycheck system that we use to generate consistent income. This, again, is something you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. And my students who've implemented this have told me this is the most important thing they learned. Why is it that important? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is, well, how much time is it going to take? And that's a great question. Here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find how to pick the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What if it goes against you? When do you get out? All that stuff, right? And when you think about that, it feels like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there. There's so much things you look at. You don't know what's important. You don't know where to look right. You spend hours putting your trades together. You go from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. With the right system, though, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. And if you think you're too busy, remember, time is your most valuable resource. This system requires just 15 minutes a day. It's designed to give you back control of your time and money. Imagine what you could do with that freedom. But to get that, you need a system. And not just any system. You need a straight line system, a way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the steps of the options paycheck system. We already talked about step number 1 a little bit. It's market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and they just go out and start placing trades. But you're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish based on the current market direction. So you have to have a way to know what that direction is. Today we focused on bullish trades. For the last 3 months I've been focusing on bullish trades. But you can do these trades whether the market's going up or down. I've been bearish a couple times this year already. By doing this, you're narrowing your focus. Instead of looking at everything, we're only looking at one of 2 scenarios. Now our options paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use to tell us the market's direction. After you know the direction of the market, you want to select stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction of the market. So just trading the stocks you know or listening to gurus on TV, it's not really the best choice here. What you want is to find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now we save you a lot of time in 2 ways. We're going to look at 2 primary things here, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in VectorVest that combine those 2, and you can find these stocks in just a couple of seconds. That way you're not wasting a ton of time looking at all that data the institutions throw at you. Now, once you have your list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Remember, we started by looking at volatility. We're going to make sure the stocks have high volatility and the options are expensive. But we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we're going to filter out those with upcoming earnings and make sure that the expiration date is in that 21 to 45 day sweet spot. Now, you can use tools from your broker, but we happen to have a proprietary search tool. We can find these really in just a matter of seconds. Now, we got to set up the trade. We're going to pick the one that has the highest probability of success. You saw me do that on Darden, right? Using the strike prices that are far enough away from the stock that give you a little chance of losing, combined with the proper risk-reward scenarios. Before you place the trade, though, we got to find out what to do if the trade goes for you or against you, because I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. These can be set up in advance to your broker. And if a trade goes against you, we have a simple adjustment strategy that can bring in more income to minimize any losses. We also know exactly when to exit trades, and I can set that order up in advance with my broker. That way it happens automatically and very unemotionally for me. Now, lastly, it's going to be time for trade execution. You want to confidently place your trade with your broker. Our paycheck system does this by planning the trade in advance and using limit orders. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results in about 15 minutes a day. So is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he sought the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time on things you don't want to do and not enough time on the things you want to do? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. And I've just got to say, that glass of wine right now looks very, very nice. It's supposed to be 90 degrees here today in Ohio. That looks very refreshing. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's do this. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're good. So, for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, put a little star there. But if there's an area where something isn't working or maybe you need a little work, put a frowny face there. So, for example, if you don't know how to manage and repair a trade, put a frown there. Don't overthink it. I want you to take about 10 seconds and give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 100, maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So in the chat with me, share, what areas do you specifically need to work on? Just kind of curious. I want to see where you are kind of in the process of becoming a good income trader. All right, I see 3 down, step 3 down. I see trade management. I see risk. I see stock selection. All right, I see lots of different ones here. Some of you have some options experience. Some of you don't know trade management or selecting the right options. Okay, listen. The bottom line here is I need to get it to where you have stars all the way down. Because once you do, you'll be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know your exact reasons for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make some guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but then on the next trade, you give it all back. Just like Jim described before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you're just going through loss after loss, and those small losses are just killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now today, I showed you the secret to fixing that, and it's a secret that I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. That you can do it with very little risk. It's even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And you saw the system that's going to help you get that consistent income every month. I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over that the secret to generating your consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to the casino. You're now going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there's those gamblers out there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember that old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like you saw Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John and his IRA. So you've seen how the system works. You've heard others, how they've achieved their financial freedom. The question is no longer can it work? It's are you ready to make it work for you? So let me walk you through the steps to get started today. It starts with the choice. Option number 1 is you can choose to do absolutely nothing and stay exactly where you are right now. And if you already have enough to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option 2 is you can do it alone. Try to learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the thousands of stocks out there, find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. If you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option 3 is just to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you're going to have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So think about this. Of those 3 options, what's going to be easiest? You know, there's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they never take action or do anything to make them happen. Person number 2 is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see that opportunity in front of you. You know, the real risk isn't trying something new. It's doing nothing and staying stuck. The market won't wait. Your expenses aren't going to stop. Every month you delay starting could be another month of missed opportunity to grow your wealth. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating income with options. It shows you exactly how to find the trades, set them up correctly, manage them with low risk, and place these with your broker to generate income, and how to make sure you're doing it safely and consistently in any type of market condition. That way you never have the fear of running out of money. Now, we only open registration a few times a year, so if you're serious about building that consistent income, this is your chance to join a proven system that works. And after going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you never have to fear options again. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or a bearish trade, and more importantly, when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates, and you're going to use a rules-based approach for this. That frees up a lot of time and questioning here. You're going to set up income trades that give you a base 60% better success rate. You're going to have your game plan in place prior to placing the trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like a pro, whether you've done it for one time or whether you've done it for 500 times. You're going to implement a system that allows you to safely and consistently generate income so you can begin to live that lifestyle you want without the fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. The first 2 lay the foundation, and then the other 6 teach you that 6-step system step by step. So by the time you're done, you're going to have that system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules, we call this the Option Income Foundation. We find that a lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base it on such a weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options. We've been there, right? That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work. That way you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which terms to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building the income system around these new spreads. Now, you got your solid foundation of options knowledge. We're going to lay out the step-by-step system placing income trades to generate those paychecks. Each step along the way here is going to stack probability more and more in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. So here you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. Instead of looking at all the trades, we're narrowing our focus. You'll know whether to place your bullish trades, your bearish trades, or more importantly, when to not trade at all. Now, after you know the direction of the market, we're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack your probability even more in your favor. And the outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates that are going to give you the highest probability for profits. So using the rules in this module, we're going to make sure that you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and make it so you can make money even if the stock doesn't go in your direction or if it goes nowhere. We're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. Here, you're going to make sure the trade has that perfect combination of risk to reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes, the option to sell, the insurance leg, all that. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and setting them up correctly right from the very start. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, in Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know whether to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but where to minimize losses. You're never again going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that allows you to trade completely stress-free. And now that you found the best stock, set up your low-risk, high-probability option trade, you mapped out your management game plan, it's time to place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you're going to commit to muscle memory in no time. Not only are you going to get the entire course, but if you act today, you're also going to get our exclusive trade planning spreadsheet. We put everything you need into this spreadsheet so you never miss a step. When someone's first starting out, it's comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything right. And placing trades with your broker can sometimes be intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, I happen to use Schwab's Thinkorswim. I have click-by-click directions for Schwab's Thinkorswim platform. Now, before I talk about the low price of the course, I want to make this a no-risk trade for you. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee on the course. That means you can go through the entire course. And if you're not satisfied, we taught you how to profit using options. All you got to do is notify us within a week of finishing the course, and you can get your money back. It's no risk. There's only one caveat. Give it your best effort. Come to the live classes or just watch the recordings. Do the assignments. We know if you do the course, you're going to see the results. That's all we ask. Do the course. If you don't do the course, you won't be eligible for the refund. Okay? It's a very simple ask. You're going to get a course, do it. If it doesn't work for you, you have a refund policy. The reason why I said it like that is because I only want to attract those who are ready to jump in, do the work, get the results. So by having that policy, I only attract those people who are serious about getting results. And remember, this is a system that has averaged 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. Now, I received this email from a client who took the course. Joe said, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you for teaching this simple but effective system. Now, I want to throw a little bit of a caveat here on this one. Over 10 months, Joe took 350 trades. That's about 35 trades a month. That's a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being super active and trading a lot like that. I, on the other hand, take about 15 trades a month on average. So I don't trade with that level of activity. I still make my 3%. I base it off that. So don't think that you have to place 35, 40 trades a month, okay? But think about what Joe did, right? $100,000 in profit. If I told him, hey, Joe, if you give me $2,000 and I'll give you 100, do you think that's a trade he would take? Well, I got an offer for you as well that you're going to see here in a second. Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. So it's serious. It requires a little bit of effort. If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this, you're ready to do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. But I've also put together some great bonuses for you today as well. Now, bonus 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. This is module by module mastery sessions. Each week, I want you to learn 2 modules. And then we're going to have a live module mastery session to go through the overview of the module, answer any of your questions, do the work with you, just to make sure you understand everything about the module. That's why we call it the mastery. We want you to master the content. Then on Friday, I have an additional live Q&A. That's 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. I also have a dedicated private email that goes right to me. Additionally, if you don't already have it, we'll give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro software. These are some of the best tools on the market to do this. We're going to give you access to those during our live curriculum in August and September. That way you can kind of test drive them if you like them. If you don't, no big deal. You can trade with a broker. It's fine. Okay? Now, our goal is to get you up and trading as soon as possible. And to help you with that, the second bonus is called the Implementation Month. You're going to get access to my live trading sessions. I do these on Mondays. I trade the SPX and I trade stocks. You're going to see me in real time, select, set up, manage, all that stuff. This is a huge bonus. You're going to see this in action with live trading. Okay? You can even follow me along in your own account if you want to. I also hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we'll walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students said this is their favorite part of the course because that repetition really helps cement the concepts for them. Now, if you're worried that stocks and everything might be too much, well, if you remember earlier, I talked about how my SPX paycheck system has averaged 2.3% per month on average for the last 9 years. I can teach you that in the SPX paycheck system. It's one trade. It's 15 minutes a week of trading. It's on one symbol with one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. This is one trade that you can learn in about an hour. Okay? It's simple. My teammate Bryant taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do the trades. For many of my students, this is the only system they use. So as a review, you're going to get the Options Paycheck Training Program, 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything. Plus, you're going to get the bonus mastery package. You're going to get the implementation month. You're going to get the SPX paycheck. And the total offer, or the total value of that is $54.75. Now, you spent about an hour with me today, so I do want to give you a good opportunity. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you're going to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio. Now, the early bird price of the course is $12.95. But if you order it before the end of our live webinar today, instead of paying the $12.95, you're going to get it for $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to the course materials, the mastery package, the implementation month, all for $9.95. Now that $9.95 price will only be for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish, it goes back to $12.95. So get out there, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. Now, listen, if you think it's expensive, ask yourself, what will it cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose by learning by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it works? This isn't a cost. It's an investment in your future, backed by a money-back guarantee. You know, there's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under the shade now. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day that you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back on where you squandered an amazing opportunity to create a consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision you make right now. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with you in class. You know, a lot of my students tell me they wish they'd started this sooner. Don't look back a year from now saying, what if? This is your chance to change your financial trajectory. Don't let it pass you by. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before, you want the lowest possible price, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, because after the webinar, it does go back to $12.95. So don't wait. Don't hesitate on this. Get in there. Get the special price. Your trajectory depends on what you do here. Okay? Now, go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Once you register, you're going to get a welcome email with everything you need to do to prepare for the course. All right. Now, before we break into the live Q&A, I do want to cover a couple common questions. First is, when are the live sessions? What if I miss one? I did mention that you could do the course live with us, or you can watch the recordings. So again, this is how it works. The course actually starts next Tuesday, so you got a week, right? The modules that you're going to learn from are pre-recorded. You go out there and you watch the modules on your own. Then, starting next week, we're going to do the live mastery sessions. Those are at 4:30. You see it on Wednesday and Thursday. In those mastery sessions, we're going to cover the key principles. We're going to do the quiz with you to make sure you understand the process. We're going to do the assignments and walkthroughs with you so you know how to do everything. And we're going to make sure that all your questions are answered. We're going to do that twice a week. You can see Wednesday and Thursday next week. And then on Friday, we have that open Q&A on Friday at noon. All of those are recorded, okay? You're going to be able to watch the recording of those within 24 hours. Then the following week, Tuesday and Thursday, and you can see during the month of August, we're going to do 2 modules a week. So you learn the 8 modules in August. All of those classes are recorded, available within 24 hours. If you can't come to the live class, watch the recordings. It's cool. No big deal. Then in September, we're going to do the implementation. We start on Tuesday in September because Monday is the the Labor Day holiday. So we're going to do the class at noon. I'm going to do my SPX paycheck trade with you, and then we're going to do stocks. We're going to find some stock trades, hopefully. Then on Wednesday and Friday, we're going to have office hours. What are the office hours? That's really more of an open Q&A. Okay, it's really more of an open curriculum. We're going to do the trades. We're going to find trades for you, but it's a little bit more of a dialogue with us. The Tuesday and the Mondays, those are my live coaching. So we talk about implement rather than teach. But you're going to have the ability on Wednesday and Friday the first week, and then Tuesdays and Fridays to kind of interact with us a little bit more. So during the month of September, we're going to have 3 sessions a week, actually 4 if you count the SPX, to really show you how to implement this properly. And again, all these are recorded. You can view the recordings within 24 hours after they're done. Now, Greg was a recent graduate, and he said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trade with 9 winners and only 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You're going to make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fencers who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Now, before we go into the final details, I want to be upfront with you. We've helped thousands of people use options to generate consistent income. But we know that this course isn't for everyone. That's actually why we've been able to get those great results with our students. We're selective, and we ask you to be too. We don't want to sell this course to everyone. We want to help the right people succeed because that's how we get results. That's how we get those real results that you saw. Now, what we found over the years that people who succeed in this program have a few things in common. First, they've got some basic options experience. If you've bought or sold a call or a put before, you're good. But if you've never touched options, we recommend starting with something like our Options Jumpstarter course. Those who succeed have at least $10,000 available for trading. Not $10,000 total, $10,000 that you can actually dedicate to the strategy. If that's your entire account, this probably isn't the best place to start. Your brokerage has at least level 3 options trading enabled. That means you can place the spread trades, the bull puts and the bear calls. So if that's not set up, get that fixed first. And then finally, you're coachable. You don't try to outsmart the system. You follow the plan. I've been doing this course for almost a decade, and never once has somebody asked me a question, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never thought of that. Trust me, I have vetted this over the last 15 years. It works if you follow the system. That's where those results come from. So if you're checking those boxes, great. You're in the right place. This is going to be one of the most valuable investments you'll make in your financial future. And if not, that's totally okay. It just means it isn't your time yet. We'd rather help 100 people succeed than sell to 1,000 who aren't ready and have them struggle. We work with the right people at the right time. And that's why we have such a high success rate. Like these folks. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectation. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades that I'm doing. Cam said he's made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake said, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. And just a couple more of our more recent students. Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 SPX trades. David says, the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended on my years of VectorVest. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Waleed says the course helps people like me develop self-confidence. If you have fears about options trading, you definitely need the course. Since the start of the course, I've done a few SPX trades with 19 wins, 12 losses, and a $5,700 gain. So, what's the dream? The dream is consistent income and financial future. Well, what's the risk? Virtually none, thanks to what we teach you in the options paycheck system. The time, just 15 minutes a day. And the effort, we provide everything to you step by step. This is your moment. You've seen the results, you know the potential, now it's time to take action. Don't let fear hold you back. Commit to your future, let the options paycheck system show you what's possible. So go out there, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. If you've never taken the course before, $9.95 is the lowest price you're ever gonna see. If you have taken the course, let us know. If you're interested in a retake, we have a lower price for you. After the live webinar closes, it goes back to $12.95. And the registration does completely close next Tuesday, August 6th, I believe it is, or August 5th. I can never remember the date off the top of my head. It is August 5th at 10 a.m. So go to optionspaycheck.com right now, fill in your details. All right, I'm going to bring my colleague Brian in, and we are going to have a Q&A with any questions that you might have.
All right, cool. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
We had a comment from Don in the chat, said, awesome presentation. I was paraphrasing, but I can't find it in there. It's basically word for word what he said. Awesome presentation. So, Ron, I'm actually going to send you a note from a prior student. We'll start off with this. I'm going to send it to you in our internal chat. This was from a prior student. His name is Daryl. I thought maybe you could show it to everybody. I tried to cross out his last name just for privacy. But I thought it was nice to start off with this, just to kind of set the mindset for everybody to what a student is thinking. I know Ron showed a lot of comments from prior students, but this is someone who is actually in the room with you right now who has gone through the course. And his name is Daryl. He says, I've been using the SPX 35 system. That's one of the systems Ron talks about in the course. He says, I've been using the SPX 35 system since going through the course. Again, last time, he says, I've been trading just one contract at a time to build the routine and the confidence. And he says, I've had 6 winners, 2 losers with orders filled at profit target and the true risk. So I didn't know if I don't know if your screen was paused or if you were able to kind of snip that and show it on the screen so that everybody.
So slow, it took me that long.
So that actually came, you could see, folks, that came in near the beginning of today's session. And I did want to start off with that because I was talking to some other people in the chat about having that mindset. And I love that from Daryl, that the system works. And the important thing is do what Daryl is saying there. Like, don't focus on the money at first, because this is an investment in your future to generate an income system for the rest of your life. And the important thing is, don't focus on the money at first. Focus on building that confidence in your ability. Build the confidence that you could place the trade week in and week out, follow the rules. And as Daryl is saying there, let the numbers work out for themselves. Let the probabilities work out over time, and you're going to see the profits over time. The problem comes in is when if you're like, oh man, I need to pay the bills this month. I need to pay the mortgage, or I need to generate 3% right now. And you start stretching yourself or forcing things. That's when you start making mistakes. But if you follow the rules, do exactly what Ron shows you. He's been doing this for 10 years in this course and getting results for tons of people. If you do that, you're going to be set up for the rest of your life with an income system. Ron, I just kind of went on like a little soapbox there, but is there anything you want to add for people on that topic?
No, you just stole my thunder from like week 6 of the course. I always say, one of my mentors in trading always told me, don't trade for your house payment. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's like, don't get it to a point where, your house payment's due on the 15th. It's now the 7th, and you need to make $3,000. You can't afford your house. He's like, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to force trades that aren't there. He says, you can't do that. The money will come to you with the right process. It's all about the process here. Let it come to you, but don't rush it. Don't force it. Make the right decisions. And that's what this is. This is all about setting yourself up to make the right decisions. When you do, over the course of time, the money will come. Sometimes it comes right away. You saw some people that made money right away. Sometimes it might be month 2 where you make 6 or 7%, but it comes if you do the right process. I always make a joke of this, and I used to do trade shows a lot back in the day. And unfortunately, I don't travel much anymore, which is good because I'm married and I have 3 small children, so that's good. But, I would always see these people at the trade shows. And, 10 years into my career, I'd still see the same people. And they're still looking for, that system that's going to work. And you know what? They've passed up the systems that work. But because they've tried them, they gave it a week, they gave it a month, it didn't quite work, they didn't master the system, and then they go on to the next best thing. There is no next best thing. Stick to a system, give it time, it works. As long as you control your risk, we teach you that. As long as you put probability of success in your favor, we do that. You are going to have long-term success. That is the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Can't stress it any more than that.
All right, excellent. And a couple of people picked up on a comment you mentioned a little while ago about people who have taken the course before, let's say several years ago, and they just want to get back in there and do it again. You mentioned that there was a lower price. So Jeff and Lancelot typed that into the chat.
Just kidding.
So yet,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I said I was just kidding. There's no lower price. No, I'm just kidding.
So if you are an alumni of this course, yes, there's a $495 rate for you. All you have to do is one of 3 things. Either just type into the chat and our teammate Steven will double check your account and send you a private link in the chat. You could check your email because we would have sent you an email with a super special private link just for you. Or number 3, you could just call our office. And Steven, maybe you could put the phone number in the chat for everybody and just say, hey, I'm an alumni of the course, and I'd like the discounted rate, and the person who answers the phone will check it out and then help you out. All right, so that is for our alumni, and that is still good. You have to still register by August 5th, like Ron had mentioned. Now, if you're not an alumni and you want to become one, the $995 rate is the lowest rate for you. It is actually equal to our elite discount here at VectorVest, so you might as well take advantage of that while you can. And like Ron said, this is an investment in your future. You're making a tremendous decision by doing this. It's the best course, I think, that we've got here at VectorVest. Is the most comprehensive course that we've put together as far as not only the instructor. We've got Ron, who's one of the, I haven't seen better, maybe Sosnoff or something, but Ron is amazing at what he does, and he cares about every student that comes through. That really sets him apart from a ton of other instructors you might see there in the world, like Ron mentioned in trade shows or whatever. You come through this course, Ron will take care of you. He's got a tremendous team behind him helping you out. So you're making a great decision. So hop in, and if you're hesitant, you still got that money back guarantee. That's there for you. So with Ron, I mentioned that this is a super comprehensive course. It's one of our best courses. Do you want to just kind of show people what it looks like on the inside?
Sure.
So that they can get an idea of all the stuff that you provide to them?
Yeah, so here's what the course looks like. So again, when you sign up, you're going to get access to this like right away, right? You'll get access to the course materials. Now, just so we're clear, the software portion of it doesn't start till next week, but you'll get access to all the course materials in the university site. So what you'll see over here to the left is you're going to kind of see your table of contents, if you will. I always recommend people go right to that course curriculum checklist first and just print this off. Download this, print it off, because it's kind of your guide to all of the modules. So it'll take a second to show up here, but there's a couple things in this course curriculum checklist that I really want you to focus on. Number 1, and let me see if I told Brian today my computer's going slow. I wasn't kidding. So this is just your checklist, if you will. Every module has a checklist. We want to make sure you put a little check mark next to every one of these things. Write down any questions you might have. But if you go over to the left in the table of contents, if you open up the recorded lessons, you'll see that there's a snapshot, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, module review and action items, and then below that, there's review questions. So we want you to make sure you're watching and doing all of those. As you do them, put a checklist or put a check there. That means you're done with the module. And then at the bottom, you'll see where the recordings are for the mastery session. This is where you'll come in. If you view it live, great. But if you want to watch the recording within 24 hours, you just open that little link up, and it's going to show you the mastery session that we just did live. If you open it now, it's going to show you the one that I did back in May with my recent students. But that updates every time we do a live course. So next Wednesday night, Thursday morning, that'll update with the one from our class. And you'll see all through, the modules are all presented like that. There's the recorded lessons, the review questions, everything is the same. And then on this checklist, the last thing I want you to do is write down here. This is the schedule of live events. So a lot of people always say, Ron, where do I find the schedule? Where are all the classes? Print that course curriculum checklist out. You'll see the links, or you'll see the live classes all the way through the end of September. Now back to the table of contents. This is where our SPX trading system is. That paycheck bonus. Watch the SPX paycheck. Watch the 35 Delta trade. Those are the ones that I do. And again, something that you can be up and running with very, very quick. If you're kind of the person that wants to just get involved and start trading right away, I would encourage you to do the paycheck and the 35 Delta trade. If it's something that you're cool with following directions on, you could be up and running at that trade in a couple hours. It's that simple. This is the recording section for where all of our Q&As and office hour recordings will be stored. This is where the recordings of our live trading sessions in September are at. I said in August, you're going to get an access to Options Pro. We have some tutorials for the software here if you want to watch those. I've got those broker help videos for Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. And then last but not least, on the table of contents, we send you a link before every live webinar. But we also know that those can sometimes get lost in the mail. So if you ever find yourself where, I know we have the live welcome session starting here in about 15 minutes, but I don't have a link, it's right here. Go to webinar links at the bottom, schedule and links. All these will be live. You can just click on the link there and it'll take you right to the registration for the class. Okay? And then last, under the resources section, this is where you're going to have all the printable material. So, module 1, you want to print out the slides, you can print them out there. As we get through the course a little bit further, we've got our checklist and trading spreadsheet, we've got our SPX trading system, just all of the information here, all the modules that you can print out, the action items worksheet. We'll go through this module by module when we get into the live curriculum. But that's a little bit of a sneak preview of all you're going to get with the Options Paycheck course. So a lot of information there.
All right, fantastic. Ron, next question. This one was, I think it was from Bybin in the chat. This is all about risk and reward. You actually we're going through this in this, I believe it was the second section of today's webinar, where you actually showed not a live trade, but a trade that you did live with your students, DRI.
Yep.
Bybin was worried about he's like, I'm going to have to risk a ton of money to just make $30. He's like, I'm going to have to risk $1,000 just to make 30. And I was trying to let him know this is actually lower risk. And he says, but what about a covered call or selling puts? So those are limited risk. I'm like, no, actually those are more risk than the trade that Ron does. Maybe can you touch on that for the people who are worried that these credit spreads involve a lot of risk to just a very little reward? What would you say to that?
No, and that's the key. Selling options without a good system, you're right. We people call that picking up pennies on the railroad tracks, right? That's not what we're doing, because that is the wrong way to sell options. I would never put yourself or myself in a position where I have to risk $1,000 to make 30. On average, if you do the trades like I do, you're going to be risking maybe equal to a little bit more of what your profits are. I've taken 76 trades this year on stocks. My average win is 742. My average loss is 731. So you're not going to have those big catastrophic losses, because here's the best part of this. If you remember from when we talked about step number 7, module number 7, where we're going to set the trades up and make sure they have the proper risk, you are never going to take a trade that does that to you. All of the trades you take are going to be proportional in their gains and losses. And if they're not, we would never take those trades at all. So that's part of not selling options correctly. We're not going to do that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Kind of snuck up on me when you finished so abruptly. You're like, I'm done. I just answered that question. All right. So just another quick reminder, folks, that the 995 is good while we're live here, which is just a few minutes from now, because we'll be starting to wrap things up. Registration closes next week. We need to close registration for everybody. That way Ron could do his first live session a week from today. So a week from today, we start up. But the good thing is if you get in right now, you could start going through all the materials, and you could jump ahead to the bonus module like Ron talked about. Just jump ahead to the SPX training. That'll take you about, 60 to 90 minutes or so to go through. And you could even start placing those trades right away while you learn the same trade but with stocks, because there's a little bit more involved with doing it on stocks, but not much. But it is quicker to learn the SPX. But you can go through all that in the week leading up to the first session next week. So we're excited to do that. And like I said, great course. I can't say it any more than that. Really, it's always amazing to go through this course with Ron and to see the feedback that we get at the end. Like, oh, that was great. That Ron's such a great teacher. We get so many comments about Ron being a great teacher and caring about his students, but also the results. And just like we shared with Daryl today. All right. I'll give you guys another chance to put in questions in the chat. Let's see. So Mark says, I need to register by like August 1st after reviewing today's slides. So the last day to register would be August 5th. So 1 week from today, 10 a.m. Eastern is the cutoff. So you just need to register by that time. All right. And you have access to all the course materials for a full year. I'm trying to answer Bybin's question. So you have access to the course materials for a full year. So there's no rush, even though the live sessions will go for the next couple of months, where you'll be with Ron. The software access will go for that time. But then you have the next 12 months from now to go through the materials. So with that, I think I can't see any other questions. So I'm going to actually pass it over to you, Ron.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you to those in the background kind of asking and doing help and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for that. And thank you to you. You spent about an hour and a half with me, so I appreciate that. And I know time is valuable, but I hope that I kind of opened your eyes to what's possible using options. It's something I've been doing now for the last 15 years. We had great success here at VectorVest for the last decade. I really hope that you find the time, get yourself registered, and work with me these next 2 months, because it is something that will definitely change your trajectory. So with that, I want to thank all of you again. Wish you all the best of success. Hope I see you next week as we start the live curriculum. But with all, have a good day, everybody, and best of success to you in the year. So thanks again for coming, and hopefully we'll see you all again next week for the live curriculum. Take care, everyone.